What's up, guys? So Konami have released a new Hullet, so I'm gonna give you the best builds and training. What's up, guys? So Konami have released a new Hullet, so I'm gonna give you the best builds and what skills to put on the three cards, and then let you know if I think it's worth an upgrade from previous versions of Hullet to get this new deep line forward version. So to start off, we've got two builds of Hullet. Now, if we just take off all the boosters for a sec, there will be stats that are on 84, the jumping and the balance. So when we look at the build like that, if you have an 89 proficiency manager, the jumping will actually be 87 and the balance will actually be 88. This website just hasn't updated for the 89 proficiency manager yet. Definitely a very well-rounded card, and I definitely like the look of him a lot. But I do have a second build. I think this one's slightly better. Again, 84 finishing there, so that's going to go to 90 when we put on the 89 proficiency manager, and then the balance is also going to get a +1. Now, if you don't have an 89 proficiency manager yet, you should probably still kind of use a build like this just because you will get one eventually. I think they've only released possession so far, but they will release a long ball counter and quick counter version soon. But definitely stats wise, this Hullet looks insane. Now, if you look at his skills, of course, his starting skill, showtime wise, is phenomenal finishing. Not the biggest fan of that. Definitely would have preferred phenomenal pass. But overall, I think showtime skills are mostly gimmicks, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But for the skills, I definitely give him double touch, flip flap, and soul control. Get that ball roll because that very high weak foot works very well with the ball roll. And then for the last two skills, probably give him aerial just to make sure that aerial ability works very well. And then I've got a list of 5 skills for the last slot you can pick between. So you can pick between, I'd say, one touch pass, cut behind and turn, long range curler, gamesmanship, and track back. I probably wouldn't put one touch pass, don't think it's necessary. Same with cut behind and turn. He's able to shield the ball so well, I think he can turn around. I put cut behind and turn on pretty much every player. I don't really put it on Maradona and Messi. And I think Hullet is kind of that same camp just because of how physical he is. Long range curler would be very good because he'll have over 90 finishing, kick power, and curl. And based on the previous versions, those knock on finesses are very strong. Gamesmanship could be good, but they don't really call penalties with gamesmanship anymore, so probably give it a miss. If they did call penalties or in a future patch they brought that back, definitely gamesmanship is one of the most important skills. But until then, I think it's usually something you can miss out on if there's more important skills. And then a very important skill on the previous versions of Hullet that this one doesn't have is trackback. Trackback will help your player get more involved defensively. Their AI will activate more. And I think with Hullet, it's kind of a no-brainer. You want him defending as much as you want him attacking. So definitely, I'd be going for trackback in this situation, and I definitely recommend that for you guys too. Now, if we compare this Hullet to the older versions of Hullet, is he worth the upgrade? Stats wise, I think he is quite a little bit of an upgrade. Like compared to this one, this is the most recent. They are very similar. These two maybe a little bit more dribbling on the newer one, but this older one has a lot less dribbling. But deep line forward, while it's a place that I love, a lot of people in the comments ask about it and they just can't get it to work. So I think if you have a whole player Hullet or creative playmaker Hullet, I'd say 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 is would definitely prefer this version, the creative playmaker, a whole player, and you probably don't need the phenomenal or the deep line forward version. And also at centre forward, deep line forwards will still make runs in behind as centre forward if the opportunity presents itself. But I do think inactive playstyle, like a whole player or creative playmaker version would be slightly better for Hullet in centre forwards if you're going to be relying on him being the one to break through the defense. If you're going to be using him to kind of hit the ball up and let your other attackers in, then definitely I think deep line forward would be better. So ultimately, I can't really make a definitive call: is he worth the upgrade or not? Because it depends on your type of playstyle. I'd say over the whole player, yeah, you probably don't need to upgrade at all. I think you'd be very peculiar if you do think you need to spend all this money on the newer version. But the creative playmaker, it definitely opens up more of a discussion. And then there's also older versions, of course, who stat difference would be even greater. But definitely a very good card. I will be using him later on stream, hopefully, on someone's account, and hopefully then if I like him, I'll go from on my own account. Next player is Ribery. Now, for Ribery, if you've used his free Fiorentina version and didn't like him, I wouldn't worry about it. I have an older Bayern Munich card of Ribery, and it's a lot different than that Fiorentina one. So the Fiorentina isn't a good sample of what a actual like big time boosted Ribery card plays like. For Ribery's build, this is what I went for. Again, you can see that there is no 84 stats here, so the 89 proficiency manager doesn't actually matter for Ribery, and I really like this build. Like I think this card looks so well rounded. You're getting 90s on everything except for lofted pass, which isn't too important. I think 86 lofted pass is very good for crosses. Like I think you're gonna have pretty reliable crosses at that type of level. But the finesse shots will be great. There's power shots, the knock on finesses. He'd be very nimble, but I don't think this is the best build. It does have 90 speed, but I don't think 90 speed is the best build. But I feel like I have to include it because I'm gonna get comments. If this is the only build I give, why not 90 speed? Boy, speed isn't that important. Speed doesn't really influence how well you dribble on the ball that much. It's a relationship between dribbling and speed, and dribbling is kind of the more important stat. Off the ball runs, yeah, it will be a little bit better, but I don't think you're going to notice a major difference between 80 and 90. And then with this build, it allows you to get to 95 balance. So this guy will be so jammy, he'll be able to be very consistent in front of goal, very good dribbling. So I definitely think this 95 balance build is better. If we look at Ribery's skills, he starts off with momentum dribbling. I don't know if you're going to notice that. We were talking on stream the last couple of days. I noticed momentum dribbling very well on Cantona because his dribbling starts at speed kind of start off quite low. So that boost, you kind of feel it kick in and he's able to stay in front of the defenders. When your dribbling's already nearly maxed out, I don't know if momentum dribbling is going to help too much. But for the skills I'd recommend on Ribery, definitely go with soul control, finish off that ball roll because he has double touch and flip flap. Then I'd go for cut behind and turn, fighting spirit, help him under pressure, and then Marseille turn, particularly if you're gonna play him out wide. And then for the last skill, you can go for like gamesmanship or super sub. Obviously, you can take a skill earlier off, if you want. But definitely a very good card. I do think he'll be better on the wings compared to the middle. He definitely has the stats to play in the middle, but without the playstyle, I'm not 100% sure how he'll do. And if we were to compare him to an other winger like Neymar, I would say he'd be about the level of the Neymar that came out in the MSN pack. This guy might be even a little bit better, to be honest. But if you're looking for an upgrade on that Neymar, I don't think this Ribery is enough to move the needle. But if you also missed out on a winger like Neymar, this guy will be top tier. Okay, last player is Raul. Raul looks very good to me because when we look at his build, he actually is very well rounded and gets 90 on every stat. That's important. I mean, maybe the passing could be higher, but unfortunately, his curl is quite low, and I don't know why. Actually, I want to compare him to a previous version. I think is this a whole player as well? Okay, this one has low curl as well. And what about this one? Okay, they all have low curl because I was gonna say I actually concede curl shots against Rail quite often. They all have low curl, so I guess the finesse shots won't be a major issue for him for some reason. Something to do with player ID. But yeah, this guy looks very well rounded to me. I don't know. I think it'd be someone you use this weekend if you get this pack and you're like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. And then ultimately he's just missing out on like that little bit of extra finishing to be super clinical, that little bit of extra pace to be explosive, that little bit of extra dribbling to be able to beat the defenders consistently. But he will be good. Kind of similar to how I uploaded that video on Griezmann yesterday, like just well rounded and kind of consistent in everywhere, but not extremely consistent in any specific area. For the skills on Raul, he doesn't have a Showtime skill. Not that I don't think it matters. I think he's had a blitz curler before, so unless they had a repeat of that, I don't think there would be a Showtime skill that would be amazing on him. Actually, maybe momentum dribbling, similar to how I was talking about Cantona, because he's not extremely fast to start this role. Might have been a bit handy. But for the skills on roll, I'd go for fighting spirit, help him under pressure, cut behind and turn, soul control and flip flap again for the ball roll, and then one touch pass just because he's a whole player. He's going to be moving a lot. You want to keep as much of that momentum as possible. But definitely a good pack. Let me know if you're going to go for it and if you think Gullit is going to be worth the upgrade on the previous versions.